your boy, legend, Big Three, making it happen, Royce White. So I wanted to ask you, let's start from the beginning. Your humble beginnings. What made you want to get into basketball? Why basketball?
Man, I come from, the Twin Cities in Minnesota. And I just come from a sports family, basketball family, really. My grandfather, my great-grandfather, the community I was raised in, just a basketball community. So, I had the basketball in my hands at 5 years old. That's what it was,
So would you say that you was the first, like the bread and butter with the basketball?
I mean, I played every sport. My uncle is Dave Winfield. He's probably one of the most all-around athletes in history, in American history, being drafted in 3 sports, and he played 3 sports, and he played them well. I grew up around him and his crew. So I played all sports, and it wasn't until around junior high school that I really put the other sports down and focused in on basketball. But sometimes I regret it. Sometimes I feel like the athletes get pigeonholed in to one sport when realistically a lot of them could probably play multiple sports if they chose to, if they wanted to. So, but basketball became my focus around high school, and it paid off.
Now let everybody know what high school you went to.
I went to De La Salle High School first. It was a Catholic private school in Minneapolis. And then I transferred to Hopkins High School my senior year. De La Salle is famous. Allen Anderson.
Yes.
State.
Yes.
He came from De La Salle High School. And then obviously Chris Humphreys came from Hopkins High School. So 2 very prestigious basketball programs in Minnesota. A bunch of state championships between the 2 of them. And I actually won a state championship on both teams. So legendary Minnesota basketball programs I played for.
So you at Minnesota State, you're doing your thing, right? You're on campus. What was one of the first things? Now you're far from home now. Well, you're not far from home, but you're independent. You're independent.
Right yeah. That was probably one of my problems. When I'm a loyal guy. I really love home. I still live in Minnesota to this day. Ran for office in Minnesota. I'm going to run for office again.
We got to talk about that.
Talk about that. Oh yeah, we got to chop that up. Yeah. But yeah, I'm very, 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 very loyal to Minnesota. And so when I was coming through the ranks, it was still at a time when the coasts dominated the prep hoops hype. The prep hoops coverage, right? There wasn't a lot of coverage of the Midwest. A little bit in Chicago. Mostly whatever there was in the Midwest was in Chicago, but not really in Minnesota or that part of the Midwest. So I was always had a chip on my shoulder too, going out there playing on the circuit nationally, going to camps, Nike camps, All-American camps, stuff like that. So by the time I got ready to go to college, and had offers from everybody, right? And I had my pick of where I wanted to go. I chose to stay home because I grew up watching the Gopher program, University of Minnesota, grew up watching the program, and that was probably not a wise move.
Well, you know what? A lot of players that get scholarships to leave there.
I'm not saying. I want to be clear. I'm not saying it wasn't a wise move because there's something wrong with the program.
No.
I love the.
It's just your home to loyalty.
I had some problems with at the university, and I had some problems with the university, but I still would encourage players to stay home in their community and help build the programs up in their community, because I think that's when basketball and sports is at its best, when it's community driven. But for me, it was just it was a weird time, man. I came at a time where the Minnesota program hadn't kept a class of recruits home, and it was a lot of hype, and I'm from the city. And, some guys are from the city, but they're not really from the street.
Understandable.
You know what I'm saying? So sometimes you could be from a place, but you're not really from a place.
Yeah, it makes mad sense.
Some people just were to themselves. Some people were in the house. Some people were, on the porch. Me, I wasn't.
Yeah.
And, the way the Twin Cities is built, Minneapolis on one side of the river, St. Paul on the other side of the river, you got a real, Twin City rivalry there, and I grew up on both sides of the river, so I had friends from both sides of the river. Now the campus is right in the middle of the two.
Smack dead.
So it's 10 minutes up the road from either direction. And so when I got there, it's just people were, it was on. The whole city was coming to the campus on a daily basis, and that got me in some trouble. I had to take some lumps and take some blame for some stuff that other people were doing. And, it kind of got lumped in with me like, hey, Royce, you know those guys. And it's like, yeah, I know them. I grew up with them. Of course I know them. I'm from the city.
Born and raised.
From the mud. Yeah, I know them. That don't mean I'm responsible for them or they're with my crew.
So do you feel like they kind of like whatever happened around them that, with them, they felt like at some point, even though you didn't play a part, they kind of made it seem like, well, he's from here, so...
Yeah, well, what I'll say is there was a lot of momentum and energy behind myself and a couple other players that were coming in that class, and there was a lot of excitement in the city, and there was a lot of excitement in the city in our age group, and we loved to have fun. We weren't those shy, tuck your shirt in and walk like a robot and answer the questions like the media wants you to.
Right.
Not to be threatening to the white folks. No disrespect, respectfully, but not to threaten the white folks. We weren't like that. I was never like that. I've always been outspoken, no matter what, whether it was political, whether it was in the street, whether it was growing up and with I always had my own lunch table. So, and so when you like that, it's easy for somebody to look at you and throw the blame on you when stuff pops off because you're the recognizable face. And I took that.
You're the target.
But I took that too. And that's part of having sacred honor is like, there were times when I was on campus, this is just a tangent story, but people probably be like it. There was times when stuff would pop off on campus and I'd be walked into a room and they'd show me pictures of guys and say, who is this guy? Who is this guy? Who is that guy? And I'm like, I don't know those guys. I know those guys, but I'm not telling you their names type of deal.
Almost like a setup.
It was just they just what I could say is like things would happen, little stuff, right? It could be like a little scuffle would happen, right? And the football players might get into it with some kids from over in this neighborhood, right? Everybody out drinking, having fun. I'm not even in the area. I'm over in my dorm, and they like, them is Royce's boys.
Yeah.
They down to ask me questions, and I'm like, yeah, I know them, but I'm not telling you their names, and so that created a little tension, and then before you know it, it got to the point where it was like Royce versus the administration or the University Police Department. You can look this stuff up. Like the University Police, when I transferred from the University of Minnesota, they asked him like, Royce is saying that he's transferring because he feels targeted by the police department, and the chief of police was on the record in the Minneapolis Star-Tribune.
I hope y'all are paying attention because this is serious right now. He's dropping. Come on.
The University of Minnesota Police Department, chief of police, is on the record in the Minnesota Star-Tribune saying Royce doesn't strike me as a guy who's ever feels threatened. And he's right. I'm not a guy that's easily threatened. But it just kind of showed a lack of awareness of the power disparity between a regular civilian or citizen and a police department or a police officer or a chief of police. Right. He was kind of talking about me as an 18-year-old. Now, mind you, I'm 18.
You're a kid.
I know I'm 6'8", 225, 230, but I'm 18.
Still a kid.
And so that's but. Respectfully, I still would encourage young guys to stay and go to their hometown school, in the University of Minnesota included, because I think sports is best when it's community driven.
I totally agree. And, going back to what you said as far as like how certain athletes should stay in their city. Yeah. I got friends of mine, Monty Mack, who played for UMass, Shannon Crooks, Anthony Anderson. Those are really good friends of mine. They all, there you go. They all chose to stay local. But like you said, you don't see that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, everybody, look, the blue chip programs are blue chip programs. Everybody has this dream of going to play for this place that's far, far away. And sometimes the best thing is home. And everybody, it is so much stuff we could get into, but realistically for me, the reason why I stayed in Minnesota, the reason why I still live in Minnesota is because there's nothing out there. So everybody is sold this dream that there's something far out there somewhere that's better for you, that's going to make your life. It's not true. It's a scam. If you're not happy in here, if you're not right in here, there's nowhere you could go that's gonna make you happy.
Yeah, you said it, man. You said it.
I knew that at a young age. I'm like, yeah, I could go to North Carolina, or I could go to USC, or I could go to Miami or Florida, or wherever the big programs are. Yeah. But why not make home good? Why not build up the people that help build me up?
And not only that, if you wanted to get a home cooked meal real quick, all you got to do is
benefit. That don't ever hurt. You feel me? Yeah. Auntie and them's cooking is always going to hit different.
Yeah.
You know, that's true too. So yeah.
You know,
But it was more like, honestly, it was more about the community poured a lot into me because, when you raised by a single mother in a black community, you raised by the community. And I was fortunate enough to have a lot of older men, a lot of OGs, a lot of people, coaches, a lot of teachers, auntie and them's boyfriend, for the dude in the neighborhood, the dude who owns a little convenience store out in the East Coast. They call it the bodega or whatever. A little corner store.
Yeah. The village of people.
Yeah, it really raised me, right? So when I came time to decide where I wanted to play, I'm like, the least I could do is make myself accessible to the people who helped put me here. And I think the machine, I don't think I was told by the machine on multiple occasions, but this was the first time where I was told, look, you are going somewhere. You, Royce, you the individual, you on your way somewhere.
Yeah.
And all these people can't go. If you want to go, you got to go there first and then help them. And see, my story then at 18 would help shape what happened to me with the NBA at 21, because I saw the game across the entire experience as a young athlete. For the dude in the neighborhood, the dude who owns a little convenience store out in the East Coast, they call it the bodega or whatever. A little corner store.
Yeah. The village of people.
Yeah, it really raised me, right? So when I came time to decide where I wanted to play, I'm like, the least I could do is make myself accessible to the people who helped put me here. And I think the machine, I don't think I was told by the machine on multiple occasions, but this was the first time where I was told, look, you are going somewhere. You, Royce, you the individual, you on your way somewhere.
Yeah.
And all these people can't go. If you want to go, you got to go there first and then help them. And see, my story then at 18 would help shape what happened to me with the NBA at 21, because I saw the game across the entire experience as a young athlete. Most people didn't know me until I was 21, so they're seeing me go through it with the NBA and like, why would he do this? Why would he do this? Because
thinking it was new.
You don't know how the system works behind the scenes. You don't know how it works when you sat down in a room and told, you could go do this. Why would he do this? Because
thinking it was new.
You don't know how the system works behind the scenes. You don't know how it works when you sat down in a room and told, you could go, but they can't go with you. That meant something. That offended me. I was insulted. A lot of young black men ain't insulted by that. A lot of young black men, they think, hey, whatever I can get out of it. That's our problem.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, whatever. Me. Yeah, well, sometimes you, sometimes me, right? That's how it's supposed to be, but a lot of people don't understand that, or they don't live by those codes. I was fortunate, blessed enough to come up, have a great talent, but was still brought up with certain morals and principles, which is why a person like the OG Peter Shue and me can have such a great relationship, because we live by a similar code. Yeah.